I suddenly began to feel that little bit of Michael coming up front, even though I cut his face in half. It was enough for people to see and recognise that he was a good-looking guy, and trying to balance that and make it so it was a cool-looking montage.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've always seen it. I never saw it in any political sense, except I did want Michael on the cover. And the skateboard was really important too, because when I went to stay with him in Kirribilli, which shocked me, because Kirribilli is like, what is it? It's Aston. It's Aston, the posh part of Birmingham. Hold on. Is it? Is
No.
it Aston? Well, where's the Botanical Gardens? Isn't that Aston?
No, that's more towards city centre.
Oh, is it? Well, it had that slightly, upper middle class, what's her name? Penelope Keith sort of vibe to it.
To the manor born.
Yeah, in Kirribilli, and it was very sort of suburban, and I thought, well, maybe I misjudged Michael. And John and Michael were living in a duplex, separate places, and it all seemed very sort of weird to me. I thought it'd be right in the heart of Sydney, and then the next day, we went to the studio and we went out late and we got up. We went to Rhinoceros. He came down and he woke me up. And he said, we're going to go to the studio. And he had a skateboard with him. And I knew a little bit about skateboarding, but this was so ahead, like so early in the game. And he had that skateboard, and he got on it, and he was going down. And then suddenly I saw this guy. It all made sense. Here he was with his hair. He had this kind of like Dr. Martens on, his jewellery on, and a skateboard skating in the middle of the road in suburbia, where people would have been driving a Land Rover or something. So that was great, and we got on the ferry, and like I said, when I went with him, he just carried it. But he would skate everywhere. He would skate to the studio, he would skate up the street, he would skate into the photo session. Anytime we wouldn't skate if we went out at night. But that really wasn't a pose, that skateboard. So I thought, and then apparently that is the absolute pinnacle of retro skateboards. That Vision, what's it called, Vision Psycho stick, that character on the back of it. So I began to, after that, knew that Michael had every single thing, but it was the right skateboard. Yeah, it was like, it wasn't the wrong one. It wasn't the one from Kmart. It was the right one. Everything was like unself-consciously right. And I just was, I had such a great time with him. And then, then I had to deal with this situation with the record cover. And I hadn't met Chris Murphy, but I kept saying Gary Grant, Chris Murphy, they're gangsters. And Chris Murphy was so direct to me. He said, I hate this. I'm not going to use it. He goes, well, if you haven't got any backup ideas, we'll get someone else to redo it. And I'm like, what? I was so shocked because, for me, it was almost like a divine thing I got, because I thought I didn't even do any other options. This was the right thing. And then I started getting a bit freaked out because I needed to get paid and all this kind of stuff. But to his credit, Michael really stood up and said, "No, Chris, this is the cover I want. This is how I see NX. NX says I've got to get out of Sydney, we've got to be more international, and then Nick's done all this stuff, and we're lucky to have him do it, and he really stuck by me, which is all the more ironic because I started going out with Michelle after he broke up with her, because he said to me when he was going on tour, he said, you can stay in the condo, but Michelle's going to move back in when I'm away, and it's okay with her, you can do it. And me and Michelle kind of had this short, I felt used by her actually, because I think she just used me to get back at Michael. I was mad about her though. I mean, I broke up with my girlfriend in New York over it, and we had a very, very, let's say, physical, emotional time together. But always at the back of my mind there was this thing about I could feel it, Michael, anything, she would run if it was Michael's message. So I got the welcome to the rebound club. I think she did love me, Michelle, but she's so what's the word? She's so she's so anal about stuff. She knew it didn't look right for me to be going out with her because I was Michael's friend, staying in the house. When Michael left, I was, even though they'd broken up, I was suddenly sleeping with Michelle. And I realised now, at the time I didn't think about it, but now I realised it looked bad, and Michael got really upset with me, so we didn't talk, funny enough. We fell out for about 6 weeks at the time. Just at the point where he could have turned around and gone, "Fuck off! No, I don't like it," but he didn't really have any right to do that because he'd broken up with Michelle and he was doing what he wanted, but he still wanted, like guys tend to do, want to still. And I think, you know, me and her, it was weird because here I was working with him, he's my friend, and suddenly I did the worst thing you can do to your best friend. Yeah, like she did actually. But I stayed there for almost a year while the whole kick thing went down. And I think what happened was I was shooting a video with Jenny Morris, and she was touring with In Excess. And Michael called me in the hotel room, and we got together and we just talked about it and just said, "You know what? This is stupid." He said, "We're friends." He's like, "If you want to sleep with Michelle, that's up to you. I don't care. You know, you're my friend." And then we had this kind of like real sort of enlightening moment where we just, you know, our friendship could have ended, or one of us had to do something. And Michael was the one that kind of pointed it out, and we became even closer friends after that, which Michelle hated. So I realised what her ruse was on that. But all of that shit that was going on, passion and the emotional stuff, and moving out of New York, and like I said in my thing, I didn't realise that cover was going to change my life more than anything else, any other piece of work I'd ever done. And yeah, when I met Michael, I didn't think that in 6 months' time I was going to be living in Australia and never coming back to New York. So it was quite an eye-opener for me.
It's difficult.
You're not aware of it when it's going on. I just had this drive to do this thing. I just stayed in Sydney. You know, I just started to work with Jenny Morris. I finally, with Michael's help, we convinced Chris Murphy, E&E Hay. That's why he didn't give me the gold record that I gave to you. He didn't want to do that, and Michael was the one that said, "How come?" And he gave me that in sort of sarcasm. I still think to this day he never liked it. He would never admit it, but he saw the benefit of how well it did.
Yeah.
But it opened a can of worms. It opened that can of worms of, oh, okay, it's like now the lead singer, everyone knows about it now, and that's all they can talk about. So from my point of view, it was massively successful, and the gatefold sleeve and everything, and all of the Need You Tonight, What You Need, that was great with Silhouette with them, and Devil Inside, every single thing. It was kind of I was sort of it was just after the whole graffiti thing in New York, so I wanted it to be a very sort of like this very clean cover, but everything else around it was all the mishmash of kind of colours and almost like graffiti-like. So it kind of it sort of evolved from graffiti, from what was very sterile, clean. Yeah, the In Excess kick logo is sort of similar to the Run DMC logo. Yeah. And before Run DMC, I'd done you can look it up actually, a logo for a record company in London called Black Market Records, and it was almost the same. And I'd experimented up to then. I'd done the psychedelic first covers a little bit like that, so I was going in that sort of direction, that clean, very opposite of what I was known for. But I had no idea that the record or the cover would just go through the roof. I mean, it literally went like a ballistic missile. It kind of started off kind of slow. They were touring. They played a couple of RSL clubs, and the records come out. There was nothing really kind of, and then suddenly it just went. It was like going on a rocket ship. Everything started to go crazy all over the place, and you know, and then I was constantly, because once I was in,